Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Rebecca Mosley here with laughingplace.com, along with our editor of our Star Wars content editorial director, Mike Celestino. Very
Hello.
exciting day here in the universe of Star Wars. The Mandalorian Season 2 trailer has finally appeared, and Mike has gone shot by shot, and he's going to take us through the trailer. Hey, Mike.
Hey, yeah, I thought it was interesting and kind of disappointing that after all the speculation of when this trailer was going to come out, they released it while I was sleeping. Can you believe that? Uh, yeah, very early this morning when half the country was asleep. At least people who are not on early schedules are asleep. Uh, they had a surprise release of Mandalorian season 2 trailer, and I watched it as soon as I got up, and my first reaction was like, okay, I mean, I'm still gonna watch the show no matter what, but it didn't really do much for me. But then, like, after I went through and analyzed all the individual shots, I got really excited by a bunch of the little details about it. So I think this is a great way to break it down and hopefully get other people as excited as I am now.
Very cool. Okay, well, I'm just going to kind of offer up the various images that you shared as part of the article that you crafted for Laughing Place. But hey, I think it's always much more fun to just kind of chit chat about it. So here we go. Let me scroll over here. And shot number one, I'm going to pan out. There we go.
Okay, so yeah, this is not shot number one though. This is just like the header
Oh, I
image that
gotcha.
I chose. Um,
Ah,
yeah, so the trailer opens with an unknown planet or moon, and then we see another planet off in the distance, kind of rising up over the horizon, and then the Razor Crest ship enters the frame, and it looks like it has lost a battle. It's been shot up a bunch. It's the one of the engines is like sputtering. There's sparks coming out. The cargo bay door is like hanging open limply like this, and it looks like there's been a space battle, and the Mandalorian did not come out of it well, and he's kind of like drifting toward that planet over there in the distance. Then we got the Lucasfilm logo, of course, and then they start playing this weird like alien music at this point in the trailer, and then we
sorry,
see
Mike. I had a little bit of a distraction over here. I apologize.
oh sure, then we get
Okay.
a shot on another unknown planet where the Mandalorian and the child are walking toward the camera here with some like weird towers or spires in the background. I've heard speculation that this might be the smuggler's moon of Nar Shaddaa, which is a very deep Star Wars cut that we haven't seen in live action before, but it would be pretty cool if we got to visit there in The Mandalorian. And you can see this is the reverse shot of them walking into the city. It looks like an underground kind of settlement. There's graffiti on all the walls. You can see a mysterious figure kind of lurking in the background there. And there was some street lights just kind of
Sorry.
lighting the path. It's okay.
I'll go back to it. It's
Yeah,
very
so
it's a very like a back alley feel to me. You know, it's like kind of
yeah,
that more gritty feel that I remember from the kind of some of those opening shots we had with the first season of Mandalorian, where he had the dusty path and that kind of it evokes that same feeling for me.
yeah, it definitely doesn't look like a safe place to be
Right,
headed,
right,
but they are
right.
walking in there. And then we cut to another, probably entirely different planet. This is most likely Tatooine again, because you got a Tusken Raider riding a bantha there, and those guys are native to Tatooine. And he looks up in the sky, and the Razor Crest enters the frame and flies along the above the surface of the planet. So,
I was super excited by this. I have to admit, this brought a smile to my face. I think there's just this nostalgia, right,
yeah,
to Tatooine and the Tusken Raider.
yeah, and we already saw Tusken Raiders in the Mandalorian season one when the Mandalorian visited Tatooine in that season. But it's cool that he's going back there. I know he's got some unfinished business. You know, we're not really sure what's going on at the end of that episode. With there's like a character that approaches with spurs, and there's a lot of speculation about who that may be. But we won't go into, I guess, too much speculation or spoilers here. Then from a desert planet to a snowy planet, and the Razor Crest is just flying toward this like craggy ravine, which is mysterious. Nothing more to it than that. Then we're on the snowy planet, and the child is there just looking off in the distance, and the Mandalorian steps into frame next to him.
What does your gut tell you about this snowy planet, Mike?
Okay, so obviously when people see snow on a planet in Star Wars, they think Hoth, but the leading theory right now is that this is the planet Ilum, which is where in the Old Republic, the Jedi would go and get their kyber crystals to put in their lightsabers. You could see it in the Star Wars: The Clone Wars animated series, and it's heavily featured in the Jedi Fallen Order Star Wars video game, which would be really interesting because this is the planet that becomes the Starkiller base in Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So this is between those two periods, so it would be pretty interesting if they went there.
I would say that Ilum was what came to my mind in that from that one of the Star Wars Rebels, I think it's Rebels episodes that I enjoyed was when they have to go and get their kyber crystals.
Yeah, that was the first appearance of Ilum ever.
Okay. So that's kind of what came to my mind with
and later on
the sheer rock and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
later on there's...
Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
That's okay. Later on there's more shots of that planet, and they're walking through those icy caves and stuff, which added to that theory, I think. But yeah,
I was going to say, I think for me it was a lot, as the trailer rolls on, as there's more talk of Jedi. I think that's kind of what took me to Elam. And now we're on aboard, we're approaching like a seaside area, yeah?
Yeah, but before I get into this, there's a lot to say about this, but we should say that there's a voiceover playing, which is audio from the season finale of season 1. It's the Mandalorian armorer telling the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, what he has to do with the child. He has to go and find his kind, be it the Jedi or be it more creatures of his species. So we know his quest is to find the Jedi, like you said, and that's kind of leading the thoughts in that direction. This shot is the shot that got me probably the most excited about Mandalorian Season 2, because in all indications, this is the planet Mon Cala, the home of the Mon Calamari and the Quarren species. It's where Admiral Akbar is from. You can see a bunch of both of those species working at this dockside here, and it's an aquatic planet. There's a lot of boats and water, so I think that makes sense. But the Mandalorian is here, and he's looking for somebody, and we see that somebody in the next shot. Okay, here's a mysterious hooded, cloaked figure, and this is the actor / professional wrestler Sasha Banks. We don't know what character she's playing. And again, there's a lot of speculation about that. Many people have guessed that she's playing Sabine Wren, a character from the cartoon Star Wars Rebels. But we don't know for sure. Disney and Lucasfilm have not said that either way.
Is that a rumor linking Sasha to Sabine? Is that a rumor that has been around prior to the trailer? Or is that something that's been birthed out of this moment in the trailer?
Well, I think that we knew that she was cast in the show, and I think...
Did we? Okay.
There are other rumors about other Rebels characters showing up, so I think that was the connection that got made there.
Gotcha.
Then we see, this is just a reaction shot of the Mandalorian looking around the docks, and then she's gone. A bunch of people walk in front of her in the frame, and then she disappears. So then Baby Yoda, or the child, reacts to that, and then he looks up at Mandalorian. So what's going on? Who is she? Why are they looking for her? We don't know. We'll find out. Streaming this October. We also don't know how many episodes are going to be available on that first day, October 30th. You know, they released the episodes one at a time last season, but there have been other series where they dropped multiple episodes or entire seasons at once. And this says streaming this October. So do they mean beginning October 30th and they're just going to do one a week? We don't really know. We'll find out.
What are you hoping for, Mike? Are you hoping that you have to do a marathon watch of all however many? Are you hoping they go week by week?
I want it to be week by week because not only does it make my job much harder, but I enjoy it more that way when there's just less than an hour to digest every week, and we can talk about that for a week until the next one comes up.
Yeah, that's my thing. Digest it, analyze it, offer up find all the Easter eggs over the course of the week.
Yeah.
Theories that'll be debunked in the first 2 seconds of the next episode.
Absolutely. So when this shot came up, I was like, oh, a boat. We don't see a lot of boats in Star Wars. It happens very rarely, but I think this is on Mon Cala still. And in the next shot, you'll see that Din Djarin and the child are passengers on this. Looks like a cargo boat. It's got a lot of barrels and crates, and there's more Quarren characters, aliens in the background working, and then they're just like looking off into the horizon. It's more of these kind of
Okay.
shots where we don't really know what's going on or why they're there, but they're there on
Is
a
it
boat.
just me? Is it just me, or does his pram look like it's gotten a little bit of a few bumps and nicks?
Yeah, well, that's just kind of the Star Wars
Is it
motif of everything kind of being beat up a little bit.
okay?
Um,
Okay.
I hope.
Yeah, exactly. I hope because
So
we
this
see.
is,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
this is another really interesting shot because it's the Razor Crest, but it looks like it's either being escorted by two X-wings from the New Republic or Rebel Alliance, and it could be that they are confronting him because in the next shot you can see that he looks to the left and the X-wing opens its S-foils in attack position. So either they're all going into battle together or he's being confronted or threatened by these X-wings. It's hard to tell what's happening. I don't know. What do you think?
Any chance we know that astromech?
Oh my gosh. That'd be. Mm. I hadn't thought to look that closely.
Can you imagine though? I would totally, if they like zoom in and it's that familiar silver and blue, I'd be like,
Yeah. That never occurred to me because we did see X-Wings in season one and they were just kind of, I mean, they were played by Dave Filoni and the other directors. They were just kind of rando New Republic pilots. But yeah, could.
I'm not quite sure exactly what R2D2's story arc is and how it. I still haven't wrapped my mind yet around the entire Star Wars timeline, but I'm an astromech geek, so whenever I see an
Oh,
astromech,
yeah.
I'm looking for my R2.
I can't think of any reason why that couldn't possibly be R2D2, but it's something again that we're gonna find out eventually. And then this shot makes it seem a lot more like the X-wings are pursuing the Razor Crest, because they're now flying in atmosphere among some clouds. The Razor Crest like swoops by, and then the X-wings follow by after that.
I wonder if it maybe it's an easy partnership. Like they could be
Yeah.
that as well. So it'll be interesting to see what we end up with. Because I agree with you. There's a bit of an intimidating feel with the way the X-wings appear in that image, and then this sequence.
That's very true. And then we're back on Tatooine, I guess, and he's riding the swoop or speeder bike through the desert. It's really hard to tell what else is going on there. It's not much to that. Then we're back on the planet Navarro, which we saw a lot of in season one, and this is the characters Cara Dune and Grief Karga, and it looks like they're happy to see somebody, and I'm guessing it's probably Mando who's returned to Navarro for some reason. These are the Outland TIE fighters, the ones that fold up like this, and that Moff Gideon flew in season one, and now there's more of them. And I think this looks to me like the planet Navarro again, just based on the terrain there.
Okay, so these are actually different fighters than the ones that I'm familiar with from the original most familiar with from the original trilogy. Because I was like, I don't remember ever seeing those wings fold up.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
essentially the same design when the wings are entirely
that's cool.
outset like that, but they do fold up, and they are called the Outland TIE Fighter. Just a slight variation, I guess. And then I love this shot because it looks like something right out of the original trilogy, but it's just some stormtroopers running down an Imperial hallway, and the camera's like following behind them. I really like that shot. We don't know the context, obviously.
Okay, my thought with this shot was not only did it take me to those opening moments of A New Hope in many ways, but I also wondered if someday we wouldn't see a shot like this and be like, did they film that at Disney Studios? That'd be a fun little moment for fans, because then you go on the attraction and you're like, hey, this was a Mandalorian. Okay, sorry.
That didn't occur to me either, but we don't see the lights along the floor that they have at Galaxy's Edge, so maybe they covered them up. This is some action scene with scout troopers on speeder bikes, and they drive off this platform into the canyon below. It looks really dangerous, but then in the next shot you see that one of them lands safely on the canyon floor, and it kind of like skids and speeds toward the camera. So pretty cool. They're pursuing somebody. I don't know.
I don't know why, but these were among my favorite of the villain armored characters within the Star Wars universe. The Scout.
Yeah.
scout helmets. I don't know. There was something particularly odd about them that I always enjoyed.
I like those too, and I have the big Black Series speeder bike that came with the Scout Trooper figure, so that's one of my favorite toys I have.
It's on my to-do list to eventually, nearby here are some of the forests that they used for the Ewok, the Endor planet.
Yeah,
it's on the list. It's on the list to do before I forget.
before it burns down.
No,
Um,
no, too dark, too dark. Move
yeah,
on.
sorry. This is we don't have any context for this shot at all, but it's just Mando popping up out of being submerged in the water and grabbing a grating that's above him. So we don't know which planet this is, what's happening. It's just another random action shot.
Okay, and in totally disconnection, I was immediately taken to Survivor because one of my least favorite challenges that they do is something like this, where slowly the water level rises and rises until they finally get too freaked out and they have to bail. But
Right.
that's what this instantly reminded me of.
Okay. And then this is really cool. This is Mando running along. It looks like that same canyon where the speeder bikes were driving off, but now he's running along the edge and he jumps off and ignites his jetpack and flies. And the next shot, you can see him flying over the camera. So pretty
Cool.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, we never got to see Boba Fett flying around in his jetpack that much, except for like accidentally in the original trilogy.
Right.
So it's cool to get some of that in Mandalorian. This is an interesting shot. It looks like he's back in that underworld city that we saw earlier, but he's shooting out a street light to make it dark, I guess. And there's a character hanging from a wire from that same streetlight. Now the question is, did the Mandalorian put that character there, or is he rescuing that character? We don't know. And we don't know who the character is. Okay, Now we're back on that ice planet. Again, makes me think of Ilum like it did for you. And he's carrying something through the ice caves. In the next shot, we see what he's carrying. There he is, little baby Yoda, the child. And I think the audio here is what sounded to me like Jon Favreau's voice, and it sounded like, and it says, "This is not someplace where a child belongs," or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the line. Okay, now it's the Razor Crest falling through the atmosphere of an unknown planet, and it's like on fire because it's going so fast. So is it out of control? Maybe it's a continuation of the first shot where the ship was falling apart, and this is just a wider shot of that. This is really cool. This is Mandalorian. He's entering into some kind of gladiatorial arena. There's two Gamorreans on the stage there. We saw the Gamorrean guards in Return of the Jedi in Jabba's palace, and these are two Gamorreans who have been who work as gladiators, I guess, on this planet. There's all sorts of crazy flags above them hanging down. I didn't recognize any of them. In the next shot, you see a closer shot of the ring, and they're using those vibro axes.
So are we now going to have to go and compare these to like Maz Kanata? Like all those banners that are hanging?
Yeah, I wonder if there's any flags in common.
Like if there's similarities.
The pod racers or something. Yeah, who knows?
Do you think they're like national, more of a national representation, or do you think it's like house of or team? What's your theory?
I really don't. I mean, I remember when they were making The Force Awakens and doing Maz Kanata's castle with all those flags, they put in a bunch of like pod race flags, because there's that scene in The Phantom Menace where they're all carrying the flags before the pod race. So maybe this is some of those, or I don't know. Certainly nothing that jumped out to me as being instantly recognizable. And then I forget the name of this alien species, but I put it in my breakdown. But it's the alien species we saw in the cantina in the original Star Wars. Sure.
I was gonna scroll down to your. I'll scroll down to your on this. So hang on. Let you talk.
Okay, and I think that's the character that's being voiced by Jon Favreau. To me, that's what it sounds like. And they're talking about the child not belonging in a place like that, and then. In a previous shot, Mando says, wherever I go, he goes. And that's playing over when they're walking into the ice caves. But then this guy says, so I've heard, I think is the line. And
let me pull this back up.
Sure.
There we go. So now you have the
I think it's Abyssian or something.
It is.
If you go down one more. Yeah.
There it is, right? Abyssin, right?
Abyssin, yeah, there you go.
From Mos Eisley.
Yeah, so he says, so I've heard. And then in the next shot, we see the guards behind him. They all stand up and they point their blasters at Mando's head.
Let
Right
me just
there.
try and pop back over
Sure.
to
Yeah, just a
picture
few more.
number 40. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. So obviously, this guy has been talking to Mando in the audience in the crowd of that arena battle, gladiator battle, and then his guards are threatening Mando's life, and then we see Baby Yoda's reaction, and he looks worried for a minute, and they're thinking like, how are we gonna get out of this one? Then we see the what is it called, the whistling birds, his wrist missile launcher weapon.
I learned
It
that from
starts
your
to,
write-up today. Whistling birds.
yeah,
That was not a
they
phrase I was familiar with yet.
oh, they say it a couple times in the first season. It's the
Do
only
they?
reason why I knew it.
Okay.
And then Baby Yoda knows what's coming next, so he closes up his little pram, the cover of his pram there, very cute shot. And then this is great. It's just black. There's no image, and then you hear the little whistling bird missiles like hitting the metal and taking out all those guards. And then we kind of see the aftermath of that. A bunch of defeated enemies all over the ground, and there's another gladiator approaching Mando. It's a Zabrak species, but Mando shoots this dagger or dart or something into his chest, and he just falls to the ground dead. So looks like Mando doesn't have any trouble taking care of that gladiator arena full of enemies. And then he says, "This is the way," and he runs off camera, and that's the end. And it says the new logo and the Disney Plus logo.
Very
That's
cool.
it.
Among the things that I have noticed, I just wanted to share because I'm not sure how many people are familiar with Sabine from the Rebel series. So I thought I'd pull up. These are a couple of images of that character from the Rebel series, and she has been rumored around for a bit. People are kind of hoping to see her make her appearance in Mandalorian, mostly I think because of the fact that the Darksaber connection between Sabine and then the final sequence we saw in the first season.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense that she would show up eventually. So it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility, knowing that the Darksaber plays a role in this story, and she was one of the previous owners of that weapon. So I think the logic follows.
What I was going to share with everyone, among the moments that seems to be capturing people's attention the most is the child, right? The little moments. I was going to pull that up and share that GIF because, let me try it this way.
Yeah,
and
I can see
hit the share button.
I can see that GIF being used a lot for people who like want to escape a conversation or avoiding looking at something they don't want to look at.
I've seen people reference it in regards to 2020, pretty much the ultimate reaction, ultimate feeling on 2020. Yeah. And then another moment that people seem to be enjoying is that moment where that scout flies over the edge, comes down. So that's pretty cool. I saw these two tweets. They caught my eye. And then when worlds collide, it cracked me up to see WWE hashtag the Mandalorian. So, and as Mike said, Sasha Banks of WWE is among the actors going to be in the next season of Mandalorian.
Yeah, and this tweet is asking if she's a Jedi, which Sabine Wren is not a Jedi. But there is like that implication in the voiceover because we know he's looking for the Jedi, and then when we see her like lurking in the shadows there. So I don't know. The answer is I don't know who she's playing, but
yeah, I'm not necessarily convinced by that single moment, and so that's why I was curious if there'd been buzz kind of leading up to this that was of Sasha connected with Sabine, which is why they were like, "Oh, yay, we get to see her." But so it'll be time will tell, right?
Yep.
But it seems like, there was one other question I want to ask you. There was a sequence. Oh, again, I should have pulled it up better, but the way that some of the backgrounds looked on one of the scenes reminded me a bit of this cubed, this the cubed background that you can see in this image. I'm no Star Wars expert by any stretch of the imagination. And so it's just every once in a while, certain visual things just, I notice, but that was one of, I want to say when the speeder bikes, it kind of felt it connected with me in a moment, like kind of a ruinous feel, but a similar design element. That's where I would go with that.
It certainly, again, wouldn't be a surprise if they visit Mandalore, the planet, in this season, because the show's called The Mandalorian. We're dealing with a lot of that history with the Darksaber and stuff. So, and Mandalore has a lot of different looking terrain, and there's cities, and there's more rural areas, and there's fields and deserts and stuff. So it's got a lot of variety to it. So yeah, anything like you said, this image reminded you of something that you saw in the trailer. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if even that like underworld looking city maybe turned out to be on Mandalore. Who knows? Could be.
So overall, Mike, I'm gonna bring it back to just us. So overall, initially, the trailer didn't just fire you up, but diving into it has you excited, huh?
It took going through it and kind of realizing all the little things, like the Ilum connection, which it didn't occur to me the first time I was watching it, but the second time through, when I was going through each shot, I was like, wait a minute, this looks familiar. That thing, and then the realization of Mon Cala, really, because that's going way back in Star Wars lore, like it's cool that they would visit that place too.
I thought the reference to the eons, the music with the sorcerer, the calling the Jedi sorcerers of, I don't remember the specific line, and I'm going to be upset that I can't remember it right now. But.
Yeah, and that line is and that line is from the previous season, from the season finale, where she says the songs about the war between the Mandalorian and the Jedi.
Yes, exactly. That's the one. You probably have it in your write-up, so I'll find it.
I do, yeah. But yeah, overall,
the songs of Eon's Past tell of battles between Mandalore the Great and an order of sorcerers called Jedi. That's the line. I don't know why that hadn't stuck with me necessarily from the first season, but having it as the part of the voiceover with this trailer, it really caught my attention. So I'm interested to see how the Jedi canon is shaped with because it seems to me that the Jedi are going to be a powerful element within this season based upon the way the trailer's setting it up. So I as a Jedi fan, unlike Mike, am excited to see how our view of the Jedi is shaped.
But
by Mandalorian.
I'm fine with the Jedi in this context because I love the concept of the Jedi when they're like all but extinct and they're talking about them in the past tense. Like, I think that's fantastic, and that's one of my favorite things about Star Wars. It's just when we hang around them in, when they're like thriving and they're just like space police, basically. That's when I find the Jedi less interesting. But yeah, in this context, I think it's super, super cool and interesting. I'm looking forward to dealing more with that for sure.
Should we talk about the reveal that happens when you have closed captioning on if you are watching on Disney Plus?
Yeah, and this is a cool thing that I didn't realize that you kind of stumbled across. Why don't you go ahead and talk about it?
I got a heads up somewhere on Twitter, and I lost that tab, and then I couldn't re-find it. But I will let you. I don't have a.
Okay. We find out the name of the character. I don't know. Do we want to spoil this, or it's not really a spoiler?
Well, that's why I was leaving it up to you. If you want to spoil it or leave it spoiler free and just let people know.
I honestly wouldn't call this a spoiler because it's not.
If you're someone who wants to see spoilers, then you can check out the Disney Plus app, because when I watched it on YouTube, this didn't happen. But when I watched it on Disney Plus with the closed captioning enabled, instead of one of the character voices being listed as the alien, they actually had a character name with it. And like I say, it wasn't something that happened when I had captioning on with YouTube. It was when I had captioning while watching it on the Disney Plus app. So we'll leave it vague like that. That way we don't spoil anybody's fun who wants to be surprised with character reveals at a later date.
Sure, and I wouldn't call it too much of a spoiler. I don't want to get people's hopes up either because it's not a character name.
It's not like,
that I
oh wow,
recognize.
I can't believe they find it.
Yeah. So right. it's and I looked it up on Wikipedia. It's not a name that has been used before in Star Wars. It's just the name of that.
Did I lose Mike?
That character.
Sorry, Rebecca's obviously having some issues at home.
I thought I was having issues.
Yeah, no, I think she thinks she's having issues, but it's actually her. So
okay,
but I think we're about ready to wrap up anyway, if
cool.
I'm not mistaken. So, was there anything else you wanted to mention before we did?
No, I think just 6 weeks, counting down the weeks and days until the Mandalorian.
6 weeks, and hopefully a lot more. Hopefully they don't go crazy and drop this all on us at once and take away all our 2 months of fun.
Right.
All right. Mike, you're going to be back in like 25 minutes for the next show.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We're doing Disney Park Talk in 25 minutes. And Disney Trivia Live tonight at 7:30. Thank you so much, Mike C., Star Wars Guru. Thank you, Rebecca, whatever issue she's having now. But thankfully, she lasted through most of it. And I think that's about it. Talk to you soon, though, Mike.
All right. See you at 25.
Bye.
Bye.